Welcome to this episode of the Greater Phoenix Chambers podcast, Let's Talk Business Phoenix, with me, your host, Todd Sanders, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Chamber. In each episode, we tackle important issues and subjects affecting our businesses, our community, and the state today. Through relevant, timely topics, this podcast serves as the business community's voice with the mission of championing business growth, identifying problems that restrict economic development, and conveying community leaders to move Phoenix forward.
Let's Talk Business Phoenix was produced in partnership with Ideas Collide, an agency offering a full suite of custom marketing solutions for your brand's unique challenges. Make a connection at ideascollide.com.
Well, welcome back to the podcast. We have a great one today. We have Fran Mallace, who is the President and CEO of Make-A-Wish Arizona.
Hi, Todd.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How nice to have you.
It's great to be here.
Well, you are a person that most people know around town, but for those who don't know you, maybe aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then one thing about you that we wouldn't find on your bio necessarily.
Ooh, okay. Well, I would say that probably most people know me from my career at Cox, because I was there for 30 fabulous years. And I was a board member for Make-A-Wish because of the generosity that Cox allowed for us to be on different boards locally and give back in the community. And as a board member for 6 years, the opportunity came about that the former CEO was retiring. And it just, for me, Make-A-Wish has just been really everything to me for such a long time. And it's because of Cox and a former colleague that I actually got involved and became a volunteer. It was being at the Wish Ball one year, and I'm like, I have to be involved somehow with this organization.
And so you went up the chain of command and said, I really want to be involved?
Yeah, so when her board was up, her number of years on the board, she recommended that I continue as a Cox representative and ambassador. And I was fortunate enough at that time to meet with the CEO and get the nod that I could become part of the board. So
what an awesome
yeah, and of course the support of Cox was incredible, and still to this day, is incredible.
That's the invisible side that most people don't see. They'll see sort of what they use in terms of telecommunication services, but what most people don't understand, a company like Cox, SRP, APS, their reach is so huge in Arizona for so many organizations.
So many organizations.
I'm glad that was able to happen. So tell us something about you that we wouldn't find on your bio.
That I love giraffes, and I feel that great leaders possess a lot of the qualities. So I love talking about leading like a giraffe, like sticking your neck out and taking risks. But we only have a few minutes, so I would be here all day talking about giraffes.
I like that. Now, is this a recent thing, or you've always liked giraffes? Is this something that...
Even as a little kid, I love giraffes, and maybe that's because I'm vertically challenged. So, standing at 5'5", I'm not going to be that, 7 or 8 foot person, but I've always been really attracted to giraffes. And then one thing led to another, and then, elephants for the elephant in the room and lions for courage. But, the whole symbolic part of that, making people feel comfortable about being able to, do business a little bit differently than, the ordinary.
You certainly do that very well.
Oh, well, thank you. It's fun.
Well, so obviously we're all familiar to a certain extent, probably when we see a story in the media with Make-A-Wish. But tell us a little bit about the organization. How did it start, and really, how does it work?
So one of the things that a lot of people don't know, it started right here in Arizona with a little boy named Chris Gracious who wanted to be a policeman. And his mom truly started this incredible momentum for kids who were not feeling well. And one of the other things is that I think a lot of people think that we are a terminally ill organization, but we're not. So we like to say that we grant lasting wishes and not necessarily a last wish, because 70% of our kids outlive their diagnosis now because of all the technology and modern medicine and advancements in medicine.
It's certainly going through one of those procedures for these kids is horrific. And for them to have something like this is life-changing.
Because they look forward to knowing that they're going to have something with a wish granted in terms of the eligibility, because our mission and our vision is to have every child, have a wish that's eligible to be, for a wish. So it's, for granting a wish. So it's very exciting to be able to do things, particularly not only for the child, but their siblings, their family, and then the community and how involved. That was 43 years ago, 1980. And now we will, hopefully in first quarter, we will surpass 8,000 wishes just right here in Arizona.
That's just in Arizona.
Just in Arizona, 550,000 wishes have been granted around the world.
So Chris's mom started a pretty significant thing that has
she
impact
did.
around
She
the
took,
world.
unfortunately, a situation that was sad for her and heartbreaking, and made it this beautiful thing for so many people and so many families, so many kids.
Well, so it started here, and then how did it expand from Arizona?
Well, the first wish obviously was granted here,
Sure.
and then it just continued to grow. So Arizona was the first chapter, and then it did catch on. And the funny thing about Linda, with her, she was one of the founders. There were 4 or 5 others, of course, the police chiefs and all the people that got behind it. And they started it with $37.76. So if you ever see Linda and she's speaking at an event, she will have an envelope with $37.76. But it just took off because everyone realized the impact that a wish had. And you talked a little bit about it earlier when you said, the things that these families go through. When a child knows that they're going to have a wish, they're going to take their medicine. They're going to want to go to their doctor's appointments because they want to feel well enough to be able to take advantage of a beautiful experience with that.
Yeah. And I'm sure psychologically too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's got to be some good medicine.
It's great medicine. And I think if you talk to a lot of the doctors, they will tell you it is the best medicine that you possibly can have.
So how does it work? How does, from start to finish, how does a wish work?
So a child who has a life-threatening disease can be referred, and that's where it starts, with a referral.
Okay. So a
it
doctor
could be a doctor, could be a family member,
Okay.
could be a social worker, could be a teacher. And the eligibility is any child who has a life-threatening disease that's between the ages of 2.5 and 18 has an opportunity to go through the process. And then we have a whole medical advisory board with things that are acceptable in terms of what that looks like. And then the fun begins. Then our volunteers with our wish granters meet with the family, and then they can figure out what their one true wish is just by asking questions. And then they determine what that's going to look like.
And I'm sure some kids really kind of have no idea, and other kids they know that they want to go to NASA and have a day in
It's so
space
true.
kind of
There
thing.
are some kids that know exactly what
Yeah.
they might want to, have happen, and then others are just trying to figure out what that might be. And we don't want the families to influence it. We truly want it to be the child's wish.
What are some of the most unusual gifts that you
Well, one of my favorite wishes was one that was just about a year ago, and it was for a little boy, Jesse, who wanted a man cave. So you talk about partnerships, in the community, and obviously the Chamber has been incredible as a partner, but the 2030 Club, which is, a men's organization, they rallied behind as a corporate partner, and they picked his wish to get involved with. But it was really fun, especially seeing his face when he had this beautiful man cave in the backyard with a foosball table and, a loft and a sign that said, no adults allowed, especially sisters. So the fun of the team putting that together, and again, the community coming together. So that's been a fun one. But there's shopping sprees. There's lots of travel. Particularly because of COVID, there wasn't a lot of travel happening again. But now we're seeing travel come back, and the partnership with Disney, sending kids to Disney World, Disneyland, Hawaii, because there's a Disney property there. But pretty much if you can think it up, for the most part, we want to be able to do it within reason, of course.
Well, and obviously these are pretty significant exercises, and they're not cheap. They're not $37 anymore. How do you do this?
Yeah.
You mentioned the community. How do they play a part?
We do. The community plays a part because there's all kinds of ways to give. So there's in-kind, where we go out into the community and we get things donated. But to your point, we are 100% philanthropic, which means that we have to raise every dollar, and a typical wish costs about $10,000 now. $10,000, because a lot of the travel, if you have booked anything recently, probably even around the holidays, is more expensive. And then also, hotels and things like that, just the cost of those things, is greater. But we do have to go into the community to get things that are donated to help offset some of that. We're not part of any of the tax credits and things like that.
So it's definitely a different exercise. But I'm also guessing there's probably no shortage of people who, when they see a kid who's not well,
Yes.
that wants some help?
We have a very generous community in Phoenix, and it's fabulous to have so much support. But yes, when they hear Make-A-Wish and they know that they can actually make a difference in a child's life and for their family, they want to lean in and help.
Yeah.
And we have an incredible board that, again, is very generous. They give their time, their money, their expertise in helping us, connect people all over. So we've been really, really fortunate.
Well, let's get to that because I'm pleased to say you all were Impact Award winner.
Thank you very much for that.
Such a fun day and so well deserved. But clearly there has to be a lot of organization, a lot of structure, and a lot of rigor that goes on behind the scenes. Talk to us a little bit about the business.
I would say in terms of, just making sure that we do have an impact, there definitely is a business model like anything else,
Sure.
but we have to make sure we're continuing to raise money in order to fund those wishes. And again, we're very fortunate that we have a very large community of supporters that allow for that to happen.
Well, and you mentioned your board, and there are a lot of boards in the Valley that are nonprofit boards.
But ours really is the best board.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to challenge each other. But I guess the question is, what makes a good board member? I mean, we're all looking for people that can help us further the mission. When you look for a board member, what do you look for?
We look for a variety of different things. One is engagement. Is there someone who's really going to get behind the mission? Do they love the mission? And why do they really want to be part of it? And a lot of times there is a personal connection with someone on the board, whether it's someone in their family or it could be someone that they're really good friends with. It could be a neighbor. It could be, an associate. We find that a lot of times, someone that they work with. Usually they know someone who had a wish. But we do look for a variety and diversity. We want to make sure that we have different verticals in terms of different categories on the board, just again, because we want that diversity of thinking. And also know that we look for people that are really giving. But the engagement part is really important. And we set up expectations in terms of what that looks like. So if you're going to be committed to a board member, we want you at the board meetings. Mm-hmm. We want you on a committee of your choice.
Sure.
There's a variety of different things that you can do, that there's usually something in terms of their growth. Maybe they're not a marketer, but they decide, well, I'm going to be on the marketing committee because I want to learn more about that. Or maybe someone wants to be on the finance committee because they want to learn more, about P&Ls and things like that and how, a nonprofit works. So we do look for things like that, but there's a commitment. They have to be at the wish ball, and they also have to raise a significant amount of money, and personally, and also what we call a get,
so you can
where
give
they're
or get?
going to give a get. Yeah, but it's both. But
Okay.
we believe that you have to have a personal give because then we know you're committed and that you're there for all the right reasons.
And given that you have people probably in the spectrum, economically, I'm assuming it's more about what's meaningful to you.
Absolutely. And then we also have what are called our Wishmaker Councils, which is a different level of giving with a give-get, and it typically is more of a young professional group. And then, of course, we have 500 plus volunteers in the state of Arizona.
500.
So we cannot do anything without volunteers and an amazing team, at Make-A-Wish. And also Make-A-Wish America is headquartered here, and they are incredible in terms of the support that they give us.
So if business owners watching this or listening to this and wants to get involved, what's the best way to do that? Thinking, well, I don't know, we sell barbed wire, for instance. How could we help?
We probably have a need for barbed wire, Todd.
Okay.
Because we do a lot of redos in the backyards and also room redos. I would say contact us. So that's the first step is, giving us a call or, going to the website and getting more information and then really seeing how that, how you could fit in. I mean, we have wish granters that come in as volunteers. We also have thankathons on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We also have building of furniture. I mean, it's incredible in terms of the need that we have with having stuff done. Because the faster we can build things and the faster we can do all of that, the faster we can grant wishes. Because it does take, between 7 and 12 months to grant a wish.
Oh, so there's a lot behind it.
Yeah, there's a lot behind it. There's just the number of calls we make to vendors that are helping us and partners, the number of calls to the family, going back with the medical. Because a lot of times, when children are going through their treatments, they might get ready for a wish, but unfortunately they might have a setback where, we have to either cancel something or postpone something. So it is a long process, but one that is definitely worth it.
So what I'm hearing, and this is probably a lot more substantial than I had imagined, is that there are a lot of moving parts, and it's
are.
very complicated from a logistical perspective, but also from an economic perspective, and so on and so forth. It's going to require the right person at the helm, which is you. What's your leadership style?
I love being able to empower people and get the heck out of the way. So let people do what they need to do, hiring the right people for the right jobs. I was really fortunate. There was a great foundation and a lot of incredible people that have been working at Make-A-Wish, some for a year, some for, 7 or 8 years. But I really do try to just be supportive and make sure that I can get all the obstacles out of the way, and just be there to find out whatever they need. Do a lot of listening tours, making sure that our culture is one that's really thriving, very people focused. So making sure that we have a plan for our team so that they can continue to grow. We do IDPs, independent development plans, so that everyone truly does have a career path too. We want to make sure that they truly want to stay, and we want to retain our very best talent.
And so when you talk about culture, what would you say that looks like? How would you define the culture?
I would say just people focused. I mean, we're always making sure that we are doing the right thing. We really want people's opinions and ideas and their thoughts about how we can continue to do things better and better. Love great ideas, and most of them come from our frontline employees. So it's really fun to be able to have that connectivity too. And we have a lot of fun.
And what's the toughest part of the job?
I would say probably the toughest part is just wanting to get things done sooner than we actually can get them done. So I think it's that patience of making sure that we can have, everything done and doing it quicker.
Well,
that'd be part of the magic wand, getting more wishes granted quicker.
Do you have any more of those?
I think we'll find one for you.
Okay. So clearly, we can understand why you were a winner of the Impact Awards. Thinking about other companies that are looking at perhaps getting nominated or nominating themselves for that, why should they think about nominating themselves?
Well, there are so many great organizations out there. Think about the impact that you have in the community. Tell your story, right? Because it's contagious. So make sure that everyone is seeing all the good work that you're doing. I always like to say it's getting caught in the act of doing something good. So that to me is the spirit of what an Impact Award is all about. But people want to help, and I think it's just a great opportunity for the community to come together. And just from my past days at Cox Media, our thing was better together. I mean, that's what it's all about. Everyone really coming together as a community and helping each other out and supporting each other.
One of the criticisms that I hear about us, the nonprofit world, is that there's a lot of silos and not necessarily a lot of collaboration. You are known as someone who collaborates well, and I'm sure your funders appreciate that as well as your board. Talk to us about what's the secret there.
Well, I think the magic formula or the magic wand is really making sure that you are collaborating. We could not do it without you. I mean, Todd, you have been incredible in the support that we get, but we have medical, just in the medical community, the doctors, the different, look at Phoenix Children's Hospital, Banner, just to name a few. We would not get referrals if we didn't have partnerships there. And then you look at the Amanda Hopes and you look at the Ronald McDonald House. I mean, our children that have cancer, because that's one of our qualifying, illnesses, we couldn't do it without everybody. So just knowing that we can lean in and have those partnerships is so key to all of us in having that success. I mean, who doesn't want to help, grant a wish for a child? But we could never do it without. It takes everybody to make it happen.
But it takes a strong leader to do it.
Well, and we have a great leadership team. We have great people. So that's very nice of you. But honestly, I wake up every morning because I can't wait to get to work.
Looking ahead, what are some of your goals for the organization and your team as you move forward?
So more of the same and some more. One would be that we are very focused on another record-breaking year. So one of the things that we were able to do is we granted 424 wishes. And we are set up to do a minimum of 450 for this coming year. And then, of course, raise enough money to be able to make sure that that happens. But we are very, very committed to making sure that every eligible child can be granted a wish. And that means going into the underserved communities and underrepresented. That is a very big focus for us this year. And we've expanded statewide. So we now have a few additional employees in Southern Arizona and Northern Arizona so that we can make sure that that happens. But we're super excited about that, and we are not stopping until every single child in Arizona is granted a wish.
Well, it's great to hear that zip code's not going to be a deterrent anymore.
Well, and you know what? You can't determine illness by zip code either.
No, it
So
doesn't care.
it doesn't care. It doesn't matter.
So how do you deal with, for instance, non-native speakers and kids who maybe don't speak English and want to wish?
Yeah, well, one way to do it is you hire bilingual or trilingual employees, and that's exactly what we've just done. So all of our really, truly, probably the last 5 or 6 hires have either been bilingual or trilingual. So it's very important that we do communicate. And we're also building, of course, with your help as well, just making sure that we're in the communities that we serve. And that's been a really big focus for the past, 6 to 8 months. And we're making some waves. We're getting some traction.
Absolutely. And then looking around the corner 10 years from now, where do you want the organization to be?
In great financial shape so that in perpetuity we can grant wishes. So those are the things that we think about, and it's really important because, you know what, beyond myself and the team that's there today, we want to make sure that we set up the best for the future and make sure, again, that we're going to be able to grant wishes forever.
Make Chris's mom proud.
And make her proud and keep the legacy going.
Absolutely. Well, what is something about Make-A-Wish that you wish that people knew that they don't know?
I think it goes back to, again, it started here. So everybody has a lot to be proud of in Arizona, that we are a lasting wish, not necessarily a last wish, and that the impact and the power of a wish and what it does for the family, especially the siblings, and again, the community coming together, there is nothing like it. So those are really the big things.
Well, I think it's a good point because I think people do have that notion that maybe it's for kids who are just terminal, and it's for kids who are sick.
Yeah, and there's not a day that goes by that that someone doesn't think that. And even as a former board member, I thought that. So we have a lot of work still to do to continue to tell that story. But this is a great opportunity to be able to do that. So thank you.
Well, and then the focus on the family and the siblings, because they're suffering just as much, and to be able to have a day or two or whatever to forget about it, I think must be a real game changer.
It really is a game changer. And again, it really makes a difference.
Well, I want to thank you for spending so much time with us today.
Thank you.
We're going to do a quick lightning round. You obviously have a fascinating background. What was your first job?
My first job was babysitting.
And what did you learn?
And then camp counselor. I learned that I wanted to wait to have kids for a very long time. So,
okay.
But it was great to have them. So, no,
all right.
That's all. I'm just kidding. But that was really, my first job was babysitting. You learn a lot of responsibility
you do.
Because you're having to be in charge of this human being. At 13 or 14 years old, you're like, wait a second, you're going to leave me alone with this child?
I'm not qualified.
But it prepared me, I guess, to be a mom.
Okay, and now we're going to go a different way. First concert.
Elton John, Madison Square Garden.
That you said that with a lot of pride,
yes.
And rightfully so.
Well, my parents had to drop us off, and then another parent picked us up. So that's why
So
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Okay, and if I had the power, which I don't.
If you had a magic wand,
if I had your magic wand and could give you a wish, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love what one of the doctors always say, but they say that, the next wish is always the best wish. But if I had my own personal wish, and I will share something that a lot of people at my office and who are very friendly with me, I love Virgin River on Netflix. And I happen to be very fond of their main character, Jack Sheridan. So I would like to go on set and hang out with Jack and Mel and have fun with them in Vancouver.
A little cameo?
Absolutely. Even if I'm just walking past them and waving, it would be perfect.
You never know. Well, thank you for spending so much time with us and for your leadership and for everything you're doing. It's astounding to think about the impact you're having every single year, and it's growing. So
thank you. And back at you. Thank you so much.
You bet.